Hey GlamFam, Linwood here. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to do a really simple, in my opinion, updo. But I'm going to be showing you guys some industry tricks and things like that that will make it a bit easier for you to accomplish that as well. So let me go ahead and show you my setup and then we'll get started. So of course here I've got my mannequin Catherine. She's a long-haired mannequin. I already have this hair clean and blow dried out pretty well. Then from there I have my rat tail comb. I have my smoothing brush, which you can use it for teasing or smoothing. Today I'll probably be using it for smoothing. I'll be using my rat tail for teasing, and of course you can get a teasing comb, but honestly you can tease with anything. I've got some butterfly clips. I have some hairpins. Keep in mind the hairpins are the ones that are open on the end. Here I have some bobby pins. Bobby pins, let me show you the difference. Bobby pins are closed on the end. So bobby pin, hairpin. This one is for security. This one is for placement, okay? I've got some standard size rubber bands that I got just from my local beauty supply store, and I have a pretty good size rubber band as well that's rather thin. Do not use the shipping rubber bands, they tear out hair. Don't say I didn't warn you. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and start off with the mannequin here. I'm going to come just behind the ear, right here. We're going to part across. And this doesn't have to be like super neat or anything, it's going to be covered up, but we're going to part across and through the crown of the head. Okay, once we have done that, we're going to bring it right on over to the opposite side. And we're just moving that parting there. I want to come to just behind the ear on the other side as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and go all the way up until it meets up with that part line that I had there before. So that's what I've got there, okay? I'm going to be working with this in a minute, so I'm just going to messy clip that out the way. I love this brush. Of course, you can use a vent brush or whatever, but it's not going to be as good as a Denman. So we're going to go ahead and brush through here, just like so. And I'm going to pull this hair off. Now, whenever you're doing an updo, sectioning is everything. It helps you to lay out a plan for your style. So from there, I'm going to go ahead and drop this front section here. Now let me see if I can raise you guys up a bit, because I want you to see what I see. So we see the bridge of her nose is right here in the center, and we've got the high point of the brows here. Usually the high point of the brows is indicative of where the parietal ridge starts. The parietal ridge is where the head begins to curve. I know this is a lot of education for an updo, but let's be real. I've always been about education. You guys know that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to part along the parietal ridge. So the easiest way to do that is to go ahead and pull that mannequin head back. I want to start off at the high point of the brow, and then I'm just going to part straight back, just like so. And we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side, starting off at the high point of the brow, bring it straight back, just like so. Alright, so now we have that section there. So if I take her off of there, it's basically just that section right above there. And for some reason, the way they implanted her hair, it goes upwards there. So hopefully that won't give me too many issues, but we'll see. I'm just believing God that it's going to be right. Okay, so from there, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put this in like, almost like a little Bantu knot. So let me back you guys up just a little bit so I'm not hitting you in the face when I'm twirling this hair up. I'm just going to twirl it up, and we're going to wrap it all the way around that section. Don't worry about this like crinkling or anything like that. It's not going to be up there that long. Okay, so now that I've got that, I have my two sections on the side, and I'm just going to pin those off as well. Now this section here actually came out of the back, so I'm just going to leave that hanging. On the sides, I'm going to go ahead and pin. I'm just going to kind of leave that hanging because, like I said, this is really just to kind of help secure the hair out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to start off in this back section here, and we're just going to bring this hair up. I'm going to brush it into a ponytail right at about the occipital bone, which the occipital bone, for those who don't know, is the bone that protrudes out at the base of the skull. It's right in that area where like you would do a stack bob, things like that, and it's typically where the last part of the skull is before it turns into soft tissue on the neck. So we're gonna go ahead and brush everything right into that region, all right? Now from there, I've got that all brushed into that section. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my large rubber band. Now I know a lot of people wanna take these and they wanna wrap it and wrap it and wrap it. I'm gonna show you a super simple technique that makes it really easy to take this down so you don't have to worry about breakage and things. And you also don't have to worry about like pulling out a pair of scissors and cutting. So we've got a bobby pin here. I'm gonna go ahead and take it and apply it onto the rubber band. And I'm gonna put a second one on there. So we've got 2 bobby pins there. And make sure my ponytail is exactly where I want it. And then I'm gonna start off by just placing that bobby pin right on into that section of hair. We're gonna wrap around. And I'm just gonna do that until it feels nice and secure for me. And then once it does, I can take the pin and insert it in the other side, and voila. And then all I have to do when it comes time to take this out is literally just remove the pins. The band comes undone, no cutting, no breaking, none of that going on. Okay? So I've got this section here, and I am going to get with that real briefly. So what I like to do, even though we're gonna have it covered, is I still like to pull a little bit of hair and wrap it around my band, just in case anything ends up showing. I want it to be something where it just looks very neat and precise, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'm gonna take a hairpin, remember those are the open ones, and just place it in there. Those are just for placement, okay? So from there, I'm gonna go ahead and start off by sectioning off this hair. And we're just gonna pull some of that up. I'm gonna add this hair up here, and what we're doing back here is we're gonna create a chignon. So I've got this hair, and I'm gonna do a teasing style for updos. Let me thin this out a little bit. And you typically wanna work with pretty thin sections when you're teasing. It's gonna make it easier for takedown so you don't have a ton of matting, and it also makes it fill out pretty easily. So I'm just gonna take it, and we're just gonna lightly tease. My goal when I'm doing it for updos is to fan that hair out as much as possible. So I know I've probably lost somebody already, like, why the heck are you tangling that hair? This is a basic principle of hairstyling. We have done it literally for centuries. And it's something that adds to body and fullness to styles. This is what makes styles last. Most of the people that you see on red carpets have all sorts of teasing, or they've got some degree of stuffing inside of that hair. It's not as thick as it looks, okay? So I'm just lightly teasing, and we want to make sure as I'm doing that it fans out, okay? So if it doesn't look a hot mess, you're not doing it right. I'm just going to continue that process straight through there. I'm gonna jump forward some on this. All right, so once I get up to this top section, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and split that into 2. And instead of teasing the entire thing, I'm just gonna lightly tease along the back. Why? Because I still want it to hold together, but ultimately I don't want to create a ton of work for myself. I see a lot of stylists where they will either tease the crap out of it and then try to make it look smooth, or they'll just go ahead and leave this not teased at all, and honestly that doesn't work either. So you've got to do a bit of teasing here too. A little bit at the base. Then I'm gonna just kind of loosen it out some, and we're just gonna do a light tease in there that I can easily begin to fan out. All right, so once I've done that, you guys can kind of see how full that's looking, okay? I'm gonna take my smoothing brush, and I'm just gonna hold this entire thing in my hand. Look how massive that is. That's the same amount of hair, no stuffing, just teasing, okay? Then I'm just gonna lightly graze my smoothing brush over the top of this surface. And we just wanna basically use that to disguise all of that teasing underneath. Just like so. By the way, this is a technique that's frequently used, but it's great for weddings, for proms, for homecoming dances, things like that, even though now people act like for homecoming they have to have on an inappropriate hoochie dress, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, really, people act like that for prom now too, but again, neither here nor there. Okay, so Now that we've got that, I'm gonna go ahead and take that. I'm just gonna take it along the bottoms and begin to kind of roll it around my fingers, and we can roll it right on up. Now, a lot of people just want to roll it and pin it and just think that that's going to cut it. That's not. So my job here is to ensure that number one, it's nice and smooth, and number two, that it's going to lay really nice. So I am basically going to take it and smooth it out, and I want to get it fairly even. So I'm going to pull it a little bit more snug on this side, and we're just going to roll that there. So from there, I'm taking 2 bobby pins. I'm going to take one on the right side and pin straight across, one on the left side and enter inside of the roll and pin straight across until it's secure. But I don't want it to be incredibly secure because I'm still going to take this and I'm going to fan it out some. So I want to take it, and my goal is to make this look a bit more like a seashell. So I'm going to fan it out. See how it begins to fan out? Now notice I have not put any product in this hair. The reason why I'm doing that is because I want you guys to see that when your technique is on point, you don't need a ton of product. Sure, I could be putting product on here to make it hold, but I want you guys to see the foundation of hairstyling, and you don't get that just by showing up with hairspray. Okay? So from there, I'm going to go ahead and hold that under, and I'm going to insert a bobby pin going down. See how it holds secure over there? I'm going to go and do the same thing over here. We're going to insert a bobby pin going down. And then from there, remember I said those are for placement, or those are for security. These here are for placement. So any other fine details I want to do, like let's say for instance like these little strands here that I want to get, I can basically then take those, graze across the surface, and then pin and make sure it slides underneath that pin that I placed there. And basically what that's going to do is it's going to help add to the smoothness of the style, allowing me to do like all of my little detail work and stuff like that. Now keep in mind, you're not seeing my pins in there. A professional updo, you do not see the pins. I want it to look like it's effortlessly up there. If you can see the pins, then you've got to go back and do it again, honey, because it's not good enough. Okay, so we've got our basic shape down here. Now usually I would close that in and all that, but I'm not going to do that for the style because we're going to be doing some more layering here. So you guys can see nice full chignon in the back, and see the inside. Like notice my teasing and stuff is really not showing all that. It's all in how you smooth it and how you lay it. It makes a massive difference. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm actually going to, let me take that out. I'm actually going to braid this top section in a French braid, but I'm going to do the technique slightly different. So let me go ahead and scoot you guys back up because I want you guys to see here. And as I'm braiding, instead of me just braiding down to the scalp, I'm actually going to keep my hands up and away from the head. What that's going to do is it's going to create a bit of looseness when I drop the braids, so that way I can fan it out for more volume when I'm done. And I'm not doing this incredibly tight. My goal here is not to make this like one of my standard super neat braids because I want to go back and deconstruct it. I'm going to go ahead and do it this way. So I'm pulling it away from the head, and I want you guys to see when I finish and I drop it how much more volume that's going to give. So I'm going to just fast forward through this part so you guys will still be able to see, but you won't have to watch every step. All right, so once I've finished braiding that part, I'm just gonna go ahead and loosely put a rubber band on the ends. Just 3 times around. And what I want you guys to notice here is I can now take this and I can push it forward. And look at the height that's gonna give me. So just keep in mind when you're doing these types of styles, the way that you braid it is going to greatly impact how the finished look of that turns out and how much volume or body you're able to get out of that braid. So that's why I braid it up and off of the scalp, and that way I can take that braid, manipulate it, I can fan it out, I can give it more height in areas where I want it, and be able to easily create more volume in the style. So that's what the purpose of that is for. Now on the sides, I'm gonna braid slightly different. I'm just gonna show you on one side because it's the same thing on the other side. But from there, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to do another French braid, but I'm gonna bring it all up right along this side here, close to the top, because I want it to pull nice and snug into the sides of the head. So here is gonna be more of like one of my standard French braids where it's nice and tight and secure. That is going to give it a very smooth, sleek finish on the sides, which is going to keep that face looking more slender rather than making the cheeks look wide by having like a puffer fish thing on the sides here. So starting off with very small sections, I'm just going to go ahead and section this hair off. And we're going to begin to French braid. Now notice I'm traveling upwards with that hair, and I'm keeping my hands close to that part line. My left hand is not going to budge from the positioning of that part line, so I'm resting my hand behind the part. So that way each time that I'm braiding, I'm bringing everything up. So I'm traveling a greater distance here, bringing it to where I want my braid to rest, going ahead and braiding it down. I'm going to pick up a very small amount of hair just to help secure the braid on the left, and then from there we'll just continue with that same process all the way up, just like that. The nice thing is your braid doesn't end up lopsided like this because every strand is still having hair added to it. The only difference is you're adding more of it to one side, and so it just kind of gives you a certain flow and fullness. The thing that I like with this too is it pulls the hair up and away from the face, which is basically like doing a facelift in your style all in one. It's going to be a really flattering angle for your client's head, especially if they are a more mature client, things like that, and you just want to give that face a little lift without any surgical procedures. You know, that's what this is for. Now I want to come slightly past the part line, so I'm going to go ahead and probably section into two sections here because I want to make sure that that part line is covered just by pulling it back slightly back here. I'm just going to braid that all the way down to the ends and repeat it on the opposite side. Alright, so we've now got both sides of this braided. You guys can kind of see that. I've got my looser braid in the middle, and we're still going to fan that out a bit more because, like I said, I want it to be deconstructed a bit. So I'm just going to start out up here, and we're just going to lightly pull here and there. And notice I'm not going on the hair that's added in. I'm actually going on the hair that is coming from the previous step. So this is going to help to just kind of accentuate that braid some without further deconstructing the parts that are already loose in the braid. That's not my goal. So I'm just reaching for that inside portion of the braid. And we're just going to pull up and out on the section. See what I'm saying? So not the hair that's added in, but we want to go underneath and get the hair that's coming from the underneath side. I'm just going to pull that out. That's giving a whole different feel to the braid. You guys see it? Grabbing that and pulling it out. As we continue, we're just going to continue that down the remainder of the braid, like so. and just fan that baby all the way out. So this is why we kind of bound it somewhat loose on the ends of that hair where I put the rubber band, is just so I could easily fan this out. If you bind it too tight, it's not going to easily fan out like that. Okay? So honestly, you could take that and do whatever you like with it. You can pull it forward. You can go ahead and take it and create like a little flower out of it. Like a lot of you, I'm sure by now, have seen that tutorial, but we're not going to do that. So at least I'm not going to do that. I don't really mind. Whatever you want to do is fine. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with just the ends. I don't want to fan out this entire braid. I just want to hit up the ends of this braid here. So basically what this is doing is this is just creating some fullness, some visual interest, but it's allowing me to keep it nice and snug up here where I still want to give my client that facelift that we were talking about earlier, without any undue tension, without her feeling like she can't blink, without any surgical procedures. So we're just going to continue that same process here. So keep in mind, however tight you're doing those rubber bands is going to impact how much you're able to fan this out. And I'm just fanning it out a little bit. We don't want to get crazy, okay? So once we've done that, same thing on this side. All right, so once I've got that done all the way through there, I'm going to go ahead and begin by taking some bobby pins. Remember, the bobby pins are the close ones. We're going to move these side braids out of the way, and I'm just going to push this baby up. I'm going to go underneath, and we're going to pin. Hold on, let me see if I can get it to pick up on just the hair. There we go. We're going underneath. I'm just going to pin that hair up. Now the power here is in creating an X, so that's going to help to lock it in place for us, so that way it gives us the necessary height up here that I'm looking for. So you guys can instantly see, look at the height that it gives. That's amazing, right? So from there, I can then take it and begin kind of crossing over here. And from there, I can go ahead and say, okay, you know what, how do I want to lay these braids out in the back? So I can take this and either place them over the top of the chignon. I can take it and incorporate it as part of the chignon and just tuck the ends on in there. I could take these and say, okay, you know what, I want to go ahead and incorporate these two as part of the chignon, and then go ahead and do something extra in the middle just for some added decoration. I could really do whatever I'd like to do with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fan this out a bit, and I'm just going to use it to kind of add a bit more coverage on the sides of the chignon. So I'm going to go ahead and going underneath, and we just begin to pin with those hairpins. Remember, hairpins are for placement, so all my security has to be there already, because if it's not, this isn't going to work. I'm going to go underneath because I always want to be concerned about hiding my pins. Okay? And then from there, I can go ahead and bring this hair on around and over. And I can do the same thing on that side. I can go ahead and wrap it around this way. I want to make sure I'm hiding my rubber bands without taking them out because I don't want to get rid of the security. You know what? Let me see here. If I wanted to, I think I want to make an adjustment. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take this braid here. I'm going to come into the underside of it. Let's see, where's a good spot? There, feels pretty good. I'm going to pin and secure. And we're going to continue to flow in this direction over here. But what I'm going to do is we're going to tuck those ends. We'll go ahead and pin and secure in place. And then I'm going to pull and adjust the chignon on this right side here. So let's pull it up, little motions at a time. Don't try to do it all at once. And basically, I'm going to use that motion to gradually close up any gap that's in there. So this is going to be an asymmetric chignon, which is not standard or typical, but I don't know, this is an art form, and honestly, I am a very loose planner when it comes down to updos. So I needed some added security in there because I felt like that last pin didn't really do a whole lot. So what I'm going to do is, now that I've got that, I'm going to go in here and we're going to create some security with that pin. And then that way I can go in with my hairpins, smooth that hair out some, just like so. And we can begin to pin right on underneath that previous pin. Okay? So, just like that. And let me go ahead and lower you guys down some. I want you guys to easily see what it's looking like from the back and sides and all of that loveliness. So here is from the back. Here's from the side. So see how we have these gaps here? That's what we want to smooth out and even up. So I'm going to go ahead and take my pen. I'll go back with my brush and just lightly smooth, very lightly, going with the tip of the brush. And just keep in mind, like, this is where it comes down to how secure is your style, because then I can go in and do all of this and still not have to worry about, like, oh my gosh, what if this comes apart? If I have to worry about it coming apart like that, then this really is not worthy of going to an event, because people usually dance at events, and I want to make sure that it's going to last them all night long. I used to always tell my students, if my client can't twerk in it, it's not a good updo. Someone, I'm sure, just got offended by that. I don't care. So yes, and then we just go ahead and continue pinning. Notice none of those pins show. Okay, so there's from the side. Here's from the front. We've got that extra bit of height there. There's from the other side. And just check out the intricate detail that comes along with having those braids in there. There is not a lick of product in this hair, because I want you guys to see technique more than you see product. Okay? So I hope that this video is helpful to you. If it is, please let me know by giving it a thumbs up, a like, a share, and of course subscribe if you haven't already. And from there, we are good to go. I'm going to add one more pin here. Just one more. There we go. Added security. Okay, so let me know what you guys think in the comment box below. If you like it, let me know. If you would wear this to your prom, your homecoming, whatever, even if it was, you know, a couple decades ago, like mine, then, you know, go ahead and let me know in the comment box below as well. And until next time, you guys, take care, God bless, and stay glam. I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.